Welcome. It's lovely to see familiar faces. There's some new faces joining us for chat number 17. So welcome to you too if this is your first time. We're moving fearlessly, and we're a collaboration between fearless communicators, who Deb's here representing. Deborah, who's coming in actually from Barbados. Fearless Communicators is based in New York. Did you want to say something?
About Fearless Communicators is a dynamic public speaking agency, and we work with thought leaders on what they say and how they say it. And that work is global, and part of that work is in Australia, which connects us to Johanna and moving communication.
That's right. And moving communication, my business is about getting people moving into communication by bringing their voice and their body and their whole beings with us to explore how that all combines and aligns or disconnects and then connects again. So, and we started moving fearlessly chats. Really, this birthed with fearless communication in COVID when we all went online, and here we are collaborating here up to chat number 17. We've had some really rich array of speakers. Some of them are here with us. It's an opportunity for women and men if they choose to. It tends to be women. To step in and really share of their knowledge, their expertise, their insights, with this community. And overall, our inspiration is to really activate us in our lives, to take action, to move, to grow towards where we want to be growing towards. And by doing it together, so leaning into our connection together helps us do that, strengthens us in that pursuit. So we always like, I'll start with an acknowledgement of country. Now, I've got a beautiful acknowledgement here that I'm going to read through, in fact, because I am still integrating it into my introduction. I want to pay my respects and acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the lands on which I'm sitting and on which we're meeting. I pay my respects to the Gadigal elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians and elders of the lands upon which we all live. I want to recognise that I am an invader and intruder on these lands. I bring racism, white supremacy, the artefacts of colonisation, and through those roles, I bring the autocrat. This is my Australian heritage. In that context, I seek to open to all the voices, especially through the Uluru Statement of Voice, Truth-Telling and Treaty. So I invite us all to take a moment to acknowledge the First Nations lands on which you are sitting. And you can do that through the chat, or as you see, I've put it on my, rename myself to bring expression to acknowledge this relationship. Oh, pardon me, I've got a cup of tea coming in. Thank you. Thank you. And since we're doing voice, if you wanted to express the traditional owners, Darug, Wiradjuri, Lenape in New York, how do you say that, Nicola? Nugtuag? Tua?
Ngātahu.
Ngātahu. Thank you.
Ngātahu, yep.
And Samantha, how do you... Jagara and Durable. And the Yuan Nation, yes. The Great Whaling Nation. Wonderful to hear. Okay, so Deb is going to bring us into some deeper connection, to bring us to our presence and our being present together before we commence and introduce our speaker today.
Just bringing yourself now into what is most comfortable. So you may want to shift a little bit, like I'm just going to shift my behind a little bit on my chair. I've been sitting on this chair all day in Zoom land. So just got a bit of Zoom bum going on. Figuring out just, where's your comfort, and just allowing yourself just to make a little shift, if need be, to find that comfort. And now from that place of comfort, staying present to the screen, but just relaxed in the screen, like just allowing your eyes just to kind of gently relax so that you can acknowledge that you have arrived. You are here with us in the Moving Fearlessly community, and whatever had to happen has happened so that you can be here with us now. And so just take a breath into that moment, into that present moment of, I have arrived, I have joined the community. Just acknowledging your place, your rightful place in this community. We're so happy that you're here. And now, if it's available to you and you wish to, you can relax your eyes away from the screen and just take in the biggest, deepest breath you've taken all day. And just feel that arriving as the breath deepens down into the belly. And there's just that moment of, I am here, I am present. Now, to stay connected to breath over the next 3 breaths, I just invite you to have a sense of intention around just deepening that breath down into the belly, but also having an intention of letting go on the out breath. And just taking 3 breaths to come into this moment, this moving fearlessly moment, where today we're going to be exploring our voices and how we can bring life to our voices. And so just before we begin that, we're just going to take a moment of just being quiet and present and here. And now, smile. Just bring a smile to your face and feel what changes. You might want to spontaneously open your eyes. It may shift anything in your shoulder, around your heart space, whatever that might be. And now just find somebody on the screen. Smile at them. They may not know you're smiling at them because Zoom is weird like that. But your intention is to smile at someone else on the screen and just give them a wink. And we're all here, we're all present, we're all smiling, we're all winking, and let's rock and roll. Moving Fearlessly, chapter 17. Over to Johanna.
Okay, wonderful. That's great. So, really excited to have Julia join us. I met Julia through my explorations in theatre, because Julia has a long history in theatre and acting and drama at the Actors Centre, the Adelaide Centre of the Arts. I love, and I'd love to hear at some point, more about the archetypal performance studies with the USA Origins Theatre. That just sounds fascinating and really speaks, Julia, to what I understand is the basis of your voice work, which is very deeply centered in our being and particularly our energetic being, and how we can harness that to express the fullness of our being through our voice. Julia's had lots of holds lots of different qualifications around speech and communications. You're a graduate, you've got graduate qualifications in voice studies, and you also bring your history in healing as a nurse that I imagine combines with the work that you do. So everyone, I introduce and we welcome Julia, who's here to share of her knowledge and expertise in voice.
Thanks, Johanna. Can everyone hear me? Great. Okay, good. Yes, thanks for that little intro. It kind of covers off my background, and I just wanted to add that the main ignition of my interest in the voice was actually from being involved in a path of personal transformation and alchemy and meditation. And through that, what I became aware of was that I actually was intensely afraid of speaking up. I was a very shy child, very fearful of speaking up. But of course, in transformation work, as the magic of that is, of course, it brings everything up to the surface. So I thought that was an opportunity for me to delve firstly into my own personal transformation around the voice. So along the lines, acting, drama, a big focus of acting and drama studies is, of course, is working on your voice. But then it took me into, with all my studies as the teaching and the postgrad studies, was actually more of the energetics and deeper esoteric knowledge around the voice, particularly the philosophy of Rudolf Steiner. And you also may have heard of a person called Dawn Langman, who works out of, I can see Annette nodding her head, Dawn Langman working out of Adelaide now, as particularly in voice, along Steiner's philosophy and using Michael Chekhov's acting techniques. So so that's my background, and I think a big part of voice work is, for me, because I know a lot of voice teachers focus on the techniques, which is very important to, release, so you can become more embodied in your voice, and you can have a lovely round resonant sound, and have clear articulate speech and project your voice, and that's very important for us to do that. But for me also, it's very much about being aligned with integrity. Where in your being are you speaking from? Are you speaking from your integrity that's aligned with your truth, and in line with perhaps a higher purpose or a higher part of yourself? So our voices, what we say to people carries power, and it can have a huge impact. So it's always important to be really clear on what you're saying and how that could potentially affect someone. So yeah, so that's very important for me to. So when a client comes to see me, I always hold them energetically in the space. I'm tuning into them. I'm feeling how can I help that person release their voice more, so they're really speaking from their inner essence and their presence. So they could have a different questions, or maybe there's different parts of themselves that they're not aware of that can come to the fore. So as you may have experienced yourself, so voice work can be quite a revealing modality. So and always make that very clear to my clients, is that if you're willing to go there, it can actually be quite revealing and potentially challenging, and it's important for people to understand that I make that clear from the start, that's I guess an arena that you might want to be, if you're not willing to go there, that's fine, but just to be aware that that's what there may some deep issues may come to the surface. So I'm always I'm aware that I'm kind of maintaining that space for the person. And I give them a bit of a pre-introduction to that side of their personal history.
Yes,
So
I would say, Julia, I'd have to reiterate that the voice, in my experience, having done theatre training, reveals really our spirit, or I mean, who we are. You know, I've had so many vulnerable, teary, emotional voice sessions in starting to open my voice, and then in training how to open my voice. Very powerful, very transformational, I would say.
yes, I agree, and that's what a part of what really further, ignited my studies, because I began to touch on and feel that's me, that's my voice, and that's how I feel that there's such a wonderful opportunity to pass this information on to other people. Regardless if you want to be an actor, or regardless if you want to be a public speaker, it's just really about connecting with your voice, because as you know, when you release your voice, the person's released, and their presence can be released and experienced. So I think that's a huge opportunity to be able to pass on to people. So I thought what I'd like to do is maybe invite people to do a couple of exercises with me, very simple ones. You may have done them already, about release and energizing the voice. So the first one is a little one we often do, of course, around releasing the jaw. So you like to bring your fingers up, it's just in and down from the earlobe. There's a particular spot where the inner and upper jaw meet. And if you just palpate, you'll be able to feel there's a particular area that can be quite tight. And you just press in there. And you might feel that there's a kind of a hard, it could be a little bit uncomfortable spot. And if you just imagine that as you touch with your fingers, that spot is like hard butter. And as you gently massage it, that hard butter turns and melts into a soft butter. You might like to bring your fingers down along your lower jaw and very gently pulling your jaw and chin down. And even sighing out as the release happens. Even some sighing on sound. So, Okay. So we should all be a little bit more released now in the jaw. And feel in your body, what's changed in your body? Maybe something feels more settled in your belly, in your being.
Do you want we'll have some responses?
Yeah, have some feedback. Yeah.
It's always nice to get the chat going, or if someone wants to share. What did you notice? I noticed my belly opened up. I noticed I was holding in my belly especially with that beautiful image around melted butter. That really, I was like, of course. And my whole belly dropped. Deb saying the back ribs opened up. Shoulders.
Right. Okay. The next one's another jaw exercise where it's called just a jaw drop. So it's imagining that, you know, that we are a ventriloquist dummy, okay? And you may remember the old ones. They used to have a big, like a jaw joint. And with these dummies, of course, their jaw just drops, you know, as the ventriloquist operates the dummy. So imagine that somehow that gravity, you can just let your jaw drop. You're not going to force it down, it just drops with gravity. And then you lift the jaw up. You're not pressing it up, you're just allowing it lift up as if it's a balloon lifting up. So dropping and lifting. And just do that a few times. Okay, now I invite you to use that same technique, the jaw drop, but on a nursery rhyme and something you've committed to memory. You don't have to think about how to say it, like maybe like Jack and Jill or Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty is a good one to do, so you don't have to remember the words, and just using those words, do that with maintaining a sense of release. And the words won't sound very clear because you can't really articulate the consonants very well when your jaw's dropped. But it's on each sound of the word. So I'll just show you first. So it's ha, te, da, te, sa, ah, la, wa. Okay. I invite you to whichever nursery rhyme you think you know the best. Just playing around with the jaw drop and saying the words of that nursery rhyme, or whichever text you like to use. Really letting it just release, no pushing down, just dropping. Okay. It sounds strange, but it's basically to facilitate that sense of release while you're actually speaking. Now, see if you can say the same nursery rhyme, maybe at the same, I guess, at a faster pace, but maintaining that same sense of release while you're saying it. So articulating the consonants now. So, Humpty Dumpty had sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Okay. So sometimes when I do this with clients, they realize, wow, I didn't realize how tight my jaw was. It's not until we do voice work that we start to feel how much tension we're actually holding in our bodies. So is there anybody wants to give me feedback about how that feels with more release in the jaw?
Would someone be willing to do it with the group and we start hearing some voices?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Any brave souls move out of exploration?
Oh yeah, I'll have a go.
Great, Jen.
Just Jack and Jill, yeah? Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. And Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. I forgot. Olé!
Yay! That's one thing, and I'm glad you're laughing, because I actually do suggest to a lot of my clients that laughter yoga. I don't know if you've ever tried laughter yoga, or just laughing for no reason. It just such a wonderful way to release, bring joy, releasing the body, releasing so much tension in our bodies. Okay, so good. So another one I'm going to do, and this is a really wonderful one to help increase resonance in our mouths, but also it has this effect of lifting the spirits. So imagining that that the top palate, upper palate, as you breathe in, it can lift up like a sail. And there's often singers do this exercise, but it's imagine that someone has given you a wonderful gift and you're surprised. So as you're surprised, you take a breath in and you lift up the soft palate. So you're thinking, oh, that's wonderful. What a wonderful thing to receive. And maintaining that same sense of lift. Imagine you're about to say to that person, oh, thank you. That's beautiful. So it's in on the surprise and lifting the soft palate. And then out, maintaining the sense of lift. Breathing out. So yeah, so it just lifts something above as well. So obviously it has the wonderful effect of creating more resonance by creating more space in the mouth, but something gets lifted up.
Is the idea to keep it lifted up as you speak?
Well, look, it's hard to do that, but I mean, over time, if you're able to maintain that sense of awareness, there is like a muscle memory, like a memory, so that when you do perhaps are doing a public speech or on stage or talking to your friends or in a work presentation, there's a memory of how to do that. Like singers, they don't have to think about it after a while. They've been singing for some time. It automatically happens when they go to the higher pitches, the higher octaves. So
right.
A sense of openness, yeah.
Right. And so, because what I find interesting with voice work is that, and I guess you're going to get there, that it's wonderful doing all this relaxation, and I always know that's part of it. And then in that moment, like Jen said, when you start, you forget, and everything tightens up again.
Yes, that's such a good point. Because that's what habitual tension does. Because when we're about to go on, whatever a presentation, and that last minute stage fright or that freeze, and that's the moment when the awareness, I invite you to bring that awareness in. Okay, I can feel I'm doing that. Okay, what can I do now to help release that? Whether it's be just breathing into the belly for a couple of minutes, or lifting the palate, or maybe even just feeling, hey, I've seen people in front of their computers at work, they kind of, holding on to it. Okay, just bringing your awareness. It's like a meditation. Bringing your awareness to your body. Where am I holding tension at the moment, and how can I release that? And then, yeah. So it's ongoing, like meditation, or any person that's on a spiritual path. It's a constant state of awareness, and I think people that do voice work do try and maintain that sense of awareness, so it carries on. And the idea,
yes, and the idea of releasing all this is that we get more fullness in our voice. Is that?
Yes, it was a wonderful side effect of having fullness, and that's you want to have a full voice. You want your person, your message to be communicated in the clearest, most full way that you can. And of course, as you're released, as I said, then your voice can be released, and your presence can be released, and you'll have a more interesting sound, and the essence of what you're speaking will be able to be felt by the listeners more as well. As well, because it sounds nicer, it's clearer, but also something is communicated on the voice stream. And that's something that I wanted to talk a bit about more about the voice stream. So one thing that often I invite my clients to do is that after they've enlivened their voice, enlivened their face with a bit of a massage, is bringing a color to their lips, and imagining that when you're breathing out, when you're speaking out, that those sounds of those words are like a color, and they can affect the whole space, maybe painting the walls of the room. Maybe you choose to touch your audience or touch your friend or your listener or whoever you're speaking to, and with an intention of affecting them in some way. So and even now, maybe, when you're speaking on Zoom, I invite you to even speak back to me if you like, or speak to us with the sense of the voice stream affecting us in the space.
And so it's so imagine a color is coming out, and we're painting each other with a color.
You could paint each other on the color. You could paint the space. You could paint the walls. You could yeah, whatever you want to affect the space with, or affect your listeners with.
Great.
Perhaps,
so
yeah,
I think it'd be great to hear a couple.
Yeah.
To play with it.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Hello,
no, sorry. Hi. Hello.
Hello,
I just
Annette.
want just hi. Something that I was thinking of just then, as we're talking about our voices and color, etc. We can be very judgmental about our voice, and we can be judgmental about other people's voices. So I just wanted to bring in something that was it last week, that everything is perfect. Yeah. Our voices are they're perfect, and they can become more perfect. They can become more expressive. They can show more of ourselves. But just as we are now, we are perfect. So I just want to put that in, because I know how self-critical we can be about ourselves and our voices. That's an integral part of ourselves.
Yeah. It's so true, that vulnerability that it allows when you start to really open up your voice. And part of that vulnerability, and I think part of the restriction, is around judgment.
Yeah.
That we have felt judged and closed down and tried to be quiet or, nice or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, often people don't want to hear their voice. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it recorded. Like, oh, no, don't. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, there's some people who come to Fearless Communicators and they ask, so can you change my voice? Like, seriously, this is a request that we get. And our response is always, no. Why would you want to do that? We can help you get into your voice. We can help you make friends with your voice. We can help you free your voice. And often it's a story that's been told to them.
Yes.
Like it's an accent that's not corporate enough, or it's not masculine enough, or it is too masculine, or there's some judgment on it. And it's not always a judgment on ourselves. Sometimes it's real. That's, picked up in the world. And our response is like, throw that away and step into like what Julie is doing, like release and like what Shell's saying, with that full belly breath down in the authentic voice. Because when you connect to that authentic voice, it's really quite magical.
Yeah. 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 So what do you think, Julia? How about we all say, let's all say to each other, we're all perfect. And color each other with our voice.
Yes.
Let's choose a different color, and we can let's let that perfect nature of our voice come out on whatever color we like. I wonder if what's
Shall
that?
Is
I
everyone
think
going
let's all unmute, so we don't have to have that focus on an individual. We just say it to each other, and we can get, it's a bit like a Jackson Pollock painting of some sort.
Can I just have a little preliminary
Yeah,
exercise
great.
where what we do, massaging our face,
Yeah.
bringing, as we touch our face, we're enlivening our face, and then we do a little bit of a hum, and as the sound comes up, bringing the vibration to the lips, and as that vibration hits the lips, it's like you feel it like a tingle. The color, it turns our lips a color, and then on that it's a hum, and then it's the ah, so hum, ah, the color comes out. Yes, color you're experiencing is okay. Very colorful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. So a little bit more about our presence. So when we're on Zoom, I know I've had to reconfigure my how I, expand my presence, or how I reveal my presence to people on Zoom. So when we're in a space and we want to command a space, it's just an awareness of how can we expand our presence so that we can really invite people in, invite our audience in, and feel as if we're really connecting to them. So if you can imagine that you feel the edges of your body, and as you know, we have the etheric or the pranic layer around our body. Imagine that you can really expand that out.
Could you say that again, Julia? Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yes, so we have our physical body,
Yeah.
and we also have the astral and the etheric, or what's called the pranic. The Indian tradition calls it the pranic layer, the energy of around our body. And
that's
imagine
around
that,
our body?
yes, well, it actually pervades. It goes right through our body. The etheric layer, like a layer. The Western esoteric tradition calls it etheric. The Indian tradition calls it the pranic, the prana. So it basically gives us our life force. And when we're young, we have lots of youthful etheric. That's what makes us feel so young. So if you imagine that in your space where you are at the moment, that you can expand this sense of energy around you into your room or your house. Maybe you can touch the walls in your room with that. And it's a sense of owning. You're owning that space. You're in that space around you. Now, as I'm feeling actually, as I'm looking at all of you, I feel like I can feel you're all spread out in your spaces. That feels wonderful. So it's a very easy technique to do when you feel like it actually can also help you overcome a sense of, you know, I guess when we're nervous, we can withdraw in and become very internal and maybe a bit hiding inside. But it's a very gentle, a very powerful technique of expanding our presence, and it brings a lot of joy as well. That etheric, that sense of etheric, which brings that youthful feeling, is a lot of joy in it. Very gentle. Yeah, so I'd love to hear people's experience about that, because I'm feeling people are doing it, and I can really sense that. So I'm curious about people's experience. They'd like to give me some feedback. Give us some feedback.
Oh, it's almost as if it's that energy of being charismatic. You know how you just when you notice people are charismatic, and then when I was doing that, I was thinking, oh yes, I'm having my charismatic moment. Charisma,
yes. Charisma. That's right. Anyone else? I could see a couple of big smiles on faces during that. Annette and Judy Ann, I just felt like you had something to share there. I invite you.
Judy Ann, for me it's a sense of just feeling taller and just reaching out. It's almost as if every part of our being extended to embrace this open space, and it was very empowering, a wonderful feeling. And it's also it's a rootedness as well. It was a sense of rootedness but extending. So it was like a dance movement always, and just having a presence and being in the moment and being aware of exactly what is around you and knowing it belongs to you in a sense, because you're feeling this sense of control over it, but also of melting into it and embracing it. So that's my mouthful. So very good. Thank you for that. It was wonderful. Thanks.
Anyone else? Anything they'd like to share about that experience?
It just reminds me of sending metta or loving kindness after meditation. That sense of offering. It's beautiful.
Yes. And and that's how we can connect with other people as well. Not just owning the space, but helping embrace and connecting with others on the energetic level. Okay, lovely.
Diana, I can see Diana.
There was a sense of lightness. Really, like I could almost feel like there was no end to my body. There was a sense of lightness, and you become one with everything. Thank you.
Lovely. Okay.
I felt when you discussed the concept to begin with, I realized that I was feeling this kind of tingling through my body and just outside of. And then when we started the practice, I felt it actually contracted and it was inside my body, and I couldn't. And then it was when I was really concentrating on it, I had to really work to get it outside my body and then really concentrate on getting it into the room. But it just felt like this expanding, tingling, like effervescence kind of feeling that was spreading.
Okay, so this is something I invite you to maybe bring into your life in some way, as you are all moving fearless members of this group. And so you take it forward and continue experimenting with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 10 more minutes. Is there anything? Should I speak some more, or I've got a poem I'd like to share with somebody. with anybody.
Yeah,
It's actually, it's along the lines of Steiner's work on the voice, and it does actually, it passes a lot. So I'd like to just share that with you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Stars once spoke to us. It is a world of destiny. They are silent now. To be aware of that silence brings pain to human souls. But in the deepening silence grows and ripens what we may speak to stars. To be aware of our speaking strengthens human spirits. So he's talking about how we can reconnect with stars, and because his belief or philosophy was that through the evolution of humans is that we can regain that lost sense of being able to communicate to the cosmos on a cosmic level. So, that's what I find his work so fascinating, is that real esoteric nature of his philosophy around the voice. So it's much more about, the abstract meaning that we bring to words. It's about how really tuning in as you speak, becoming aware of the consonants. What do the sounds of the words, what do they do? How can you use that sense of onomatopoeia of words, for instance, as you become mindful of the words? So yeah. Thank you.
Can I say?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Julia, thank you so much for that. It was really, it's been a beautiful experience this morning, and it's made me, one of the reasons why I'm smiling so much is that it's a reminder of how beautiful it feels to be expansive. And I think we're so, well, I personally feel so contracted by the moment, and by working with just a screen in front of me and being absent from working with human bodies in a room, that really today made me realize that even though I work in voice, a lot of the time, recently I haven't, and was so joyful, I think is the word, to reconnect with these very simple things of releasing the tension in our jaw and expanding our bodies, because we do it when we have human bodies near us. We breathe in sympathy, we are there, we move, we create community even with 3-4 people. It's much harder to do. It's so brittle when we're on Zoom. And so bringing the physical back into our small environment and expanding it as much as we can will certainly set me up beautifully for today when I'm trying to connect with people on Zoom. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes. And I've got okay. So there's probably anything else anyone else wants to say before I say one more poem, another Steiner poem.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. This is actually from a place in ancient times called Ephesus, and there were mystery schools there. And as you entered the temple, there was words that needed to be spoken, and this is Steiner's, I guess, take on it, because he had to reform the words. Okay. Speak, O human being, and thou revealest through thee the coming into being of worlds. The coming into being of worlds reveals itself through thee, O human being, when thou speakest. But that, yeah, just sitting with that, feeling the power of that. So Steiner and many of the ancient traditions talked about the creative power of the voice and how the voice can bring worlds to life. So this is the deeper aspects of voice that really interest me. And I hope you've enjoyed experiencing a bit of a taste of that today.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, Julia, that was yeah, beautiful to reach into. Like you say, it's really reaching in between the words to that space in between, you know, and being more present to that and bringing our presence in to that. Beautiful. Yeah. You know, I want to open, if anyone wanted to respond to Julia or has a question, maybe. We've got a couple of minutes and then we'll close. But if anyone wanted to, sitting on a question or a comment.
I have a question, and it's just that I have some friends or people I know who don't speak, who don't have words. So do you work with people who are voiceless in that way? Or how, it's a big question perhaps, but it's just been on my mind since the beginning of the session.
Is they have they're aphasic, they don't have,
they're non-verbal. Yeah,
the non-verbal, right. As a voice coach, no, I don't work with those people, but you know, I think language can be, do they use any kind of non-verbal communication at all? Do they use
just body, yeah, hands, and some sounds, but no words. So
right.
Yeah, just curious.
Okay,
it's
so if they're able to,
perhaps a big question to ask at the end.
Yeah, no, I think if they're able to use their hands, then it would be, if you know, it would be a case of encouraging them to put, you know, as much into their communication into their hands.
Yeah, definitely. You know, yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, it's very much a personalised process, because I'm not sure of each of your friends as the reasons for why they're aphasic or non-verbal. But you know, if they can't speak, it's a matter of, you know, I guess accepting that's where they're at, but encouraging them to use whatever they can to communicate. Yeah. I know these times we can't, you know, touch as much as we'd like to, I guess, but if there's that opportunity to touch, that would be another way they could communicate as well, through, you know, through writing, through artwork. Yeah, and that's probably someone along the lines of a speech pathologist or occupational therapist. Yeah.
And also, we'll share Julia's contact, so if you wanted to pick up a conversation, you'll be able to as well. So thank you. Julianne, did you want to say something just very briefly, because it's just 9 a.m. So I know if people need to go, you know, we
just want to say thank you so much. It was wonderful. It was absolutely such a blessing, and thanks. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Lovely.
Okay. Lovely. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Beautiful exploration, and really rich, and a different way, another way to come into voice. Yeah, I really like that. And the connection between the cosmos really brings something very different, different awareness. So we're going to close in our traditional way of closing, which is turning ourselves off mute and acknowledging each other. So I think this is a great opportunity, I'm feeling, to bring some of this colouring or a sense of that presence that we're working with as we see each other and acknowledge each other as a way of closing together. So for those that don't know, what we do is put up our hand. Everyone just raise your hand, and we're each going to acknowledge each other by saying I see you, and appreciate them by saying something very briefly. I thank you for being here. And once you've been acknowledged, you put your hand down and you acknowledge someone else, and then eventually we'll all have been acknowledged and have our hands down. So I can start, and I'll look around and I'll acknowledge Annette. Wonderful to have you, your presence, your voice, your fullness of being with us, Annette.
Thank you, Johanna. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here in this space. Not that I need permission, but you know, I feel very welcome. Diana, I acknowledge you, I see you, and I look forward to seeing you on these sessions. And I thank you for your words of wisdom every now and then.
Thank you, Annette. Beautiful. Bernadette, I see you. I really appreciate the colour that's behind you tonight. It's been beautiful. And I feel your presence, and I thank you.
Julia, I see you. I acknowledge you. I thank you so very much. I really needed to hear the things that you talked about tonight and the things that you taught us. So I thank you for being my teacher today for what I needed. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Bernadette. Hi, Jess. I see you. I acknowledge you. Thank you for your presence today. Thank you for participating, and I hope that yeah, all goes well with your voice and communication.
Thank you, Julia. Beauty Ann, I see you, and I thank you for your presence.
And down once you've been acknowledged. Oh no, sorry, just pardon me.
Oh, yeah. And I was just going to say, I wish you well as you go forth to paint many conversations with the colour of your voice.
Nice.
Great. And you can put your hand down once you've been acknowledged.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's wonderful. Deborah, I want to say I see you and I acknowledge you, and I appreciate the major contribution you made today. It was so wonderful to just hear your wisdom as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So nice to have you with us, Judy Ann. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nicola, so wonderful to see you again, and so wonderful to hear how much today has expanded you. And I wish that that continues to expand for the rest of the day, and days and days and days and days and days. I see you, I appreciate you, and thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you very much. Jen, I see you and I acknowledge you, and may you touch many people with your energetic field as you go through the day.
Thank you, Nicola. Valentina, I see you, and I thank you for being here and expressing yourself. Thank you.
And I think Valentina's last, is that right?
Yeah.
And Valentina, you get the wonderful opportunity to see and acknowledge all of us. And that would be our close.
I see you all amazing women. I felt you all. It was so beautiful to be here, and I think we were all on the same level today. So I thank you all for being you, and I'll see you next week.
Yes, and that brings us to next week. It's a beautiful segue because Valentina is going to be presenting next week and sharing her wisdom, knowledge and expertise and practice. If you wanted to make a short statement before we finish, Valentina, tempt us all.
Oh, well, I'm an energetic healer, so some of the things that Julia was talking about expanding our awareness, we'll be going more into that. And also I'll be doing a group healing for those interested and a guided visualization. And we'll be talking about the power of words, about how they become things. Give you some training on how to fix the words into what you want to get out of your experience of being alive. Let's do it.
Yes, look forward to that. So thank you, everyone, and really look forward to next week. It sounds like it's going to be a beautiful thread through from today as well. Yeah, may you all have a wonderful day and keep our presence expanding, our colors being painted. Until next week.